Based in beautiful County Clare in the west coast of Ireland, Haven Horizons is a small charity with a big vision. And that vision is a society where everyone can live free from gender and relationship abuse. 25 years ago, the small group set up Clare Haven Services to provide refuge and accommodation for women and children who were experiencing violence in their own homes. They soon realised that although public awareness had improved and services for women and children had improved, the numbers of women who were experiencing violence in their homes remained fairly constant. And sadly, daughters of clients who had used the refuge in the early days were now looking for support. So something had to change. But because domestic abuse and coercive control are such complex issues, it's long been felt that it is only through education, improved interagency working, better partnership in research, that we can finally address the issue of violence against women and children, and at the same time hold perpetrators accountable. A separate charity, Haven Horizons, was set up in 2014. To create lasting change, Haven Horizons focuses on education, research and prevention. It does this by building education networks, delivering university programmes, facilitating interagency collaboration, working with the justice system to bring about meaningful legislative and policy change, and highlighting national and international research and models of best practice.
After 25 years developing frontline services in County Clare around domestic abuse, it became more and more obvious the need to look at our long-term responses. It is very difficult to see a woman and a woman's daughter presenting as a victim and the pattern being repeated over and over. The real challenge for us is self-determined positive change. Haven Horizons was set up as a national educational and research centre, looking at what are the root causes, why does a victim stay or return to an abusive relationship. Research needs to be sitting right beside our response. I believe that positive change will only happen when we all work together. My experience has proven to me that ordinary people can do extraordinary things, and it's only one step at a time with a committed team.
It has taken 30 years of dedication and a breathtaking voluntary effort by a group of women like Mary and Colette to go from setting up a frontline domestic abuse support service in the west of Ireland to establishing Haven Horizons as a national centre for research and education around relationship abuse. Volunteers, donors and customers are the lifeblood of our charity shop, all supporting us to move beyond the crisis intervention support services in order to provide sustainable solutions to domestic violence and to stop this insidious cycle.
The charity shop also promotes sustainable retail by giving people a different way to reuse, upcycle and get a good bargain. From wedding dresses, great books and a chance to redecorate the house, the shop is an excellent example of a social enterprise that not only supports the circular economy and reduces the load to landfill, it is a social hub. It's a place to meet, chat, participate in an upcycling course and a chance to give back by volunteering. The success of the shop in reshaping the future is thanks to the kindness of those who give away for free.
In 1993, I was working as a podiatrist in Ennis. I attended a 2-hour workshop on gender-based abuse, and I had known about physical abuse, but I was really shocked to hear about the level of psychological and emotional abuse that women were enduring. After that workshop, I volunteered with Mary and Colette, and a short time later I changed my career and became project coordinator. We set up frontline services for victims of domestic abuse, a refuge, outreach services, accompanying women to court, and developing educational programs for women. Since 2015, I've been working in the area of education, prevention and research. My learning journey has taken me from that 2-hour workshop in 1993 to going to Duluth to train with Ellen Pence, to St. Paul to train with the Blueprint for Safety model, and to present my research at the European Conference on Domestic Violence, and now developing university courses on domestic abuse and coercive control. If you think about it, people are stuck in abusive relationships because of the things they don't know, because of gender inequality and the slow pace of social and legal change. Education is powerful, but it's using our shared knowledge to influence policy, practice and legislative change that brings about the social change that ends domestic abuse.
That's why Haven Horizons is working in partnership with a university, giving books to the National Library Service, developing accredited courses and collaborating on new research projects. We should never underestimate the power of education and the impact of a small group of people working together. Our vision is to create a world free from relationship abuse. Your support can help.
I think the course is brilliant because, first of all, it teaches you how to deal or how to recognise and how to respond to a particular situation of domestic abuse or coercive control, in terms of looking for people that will have the right information or looking for the right people. You know, it's always about connecting and bringing people together, and that's huge. But in terms of your own personal journey, we mightn't as people ever come across that situation, and that's okay, but it's actually being able to recognise and use those tools for our own positive journey, for our own experiences. So it's being able to say, listen, I have power in a situation, I need to know and use that power, and I can't use it negatively. I can't, coerce someone, even in terms of, oh, do this because, I have that power over you. But it's also understanding that, if I'm ever in a situation where someone is coercing me, I'll be able to recognise that. So I think as a society, we need to protect the vulnerable people. We need to understand that it's not an issue of two people in a house. It happens on the streets, it happens, to your friends, to your family members, it happens to a lot of people, so it's important for us to call it what it is, to recognise it. And I think using the knowledge I have in the course, I can now recognise even how people address the topic, what people say about it, all of that is actually feeding into the problem.
Having taken part in this course, it has definitely enhanced my knowledge of coercive control and empowered me, I suppose, to recognise incidents of coercive control. And one example is that we have a fluid investigation at the minute that has been ongoing for the duration of the course. And prior to the course starting, I don't think I would have identified the signs of coercive control, and the investigation is still ongoing and the file is being currently prepared. But I suppose through the last number of weeks, last 12 weeks, doing the course, it has enabled me to recognise those signs, and I would be quite confident that when we're submitting the investigation file that we will be making a recommendation for the suspect to be prosecuted for coercive control. So that's just one example of how it has enhanced my knowledge.
The image that stays with me from the early days at the refuge is that of an elderly woman I passed on the road early one morning. She was wearing a red coat, carrying her handbag and walking with slow, steady steps. Later that evening, I met her again, this time in the refuge. She had left home in her Sunday coat, telling her abusive husband that she was walking to Mass. She had walked miles to knock on our door looking for help. It had taken 30 years of controlling violent abuse before she felt she could leave and her children were independent. If we change anything through education, let it be that young people recognise early signs of controlling behaviour in a relationship. Let it be that no woman spends her life hostage to a violent partner. Sometime later, we received a letter from N, the lady in the red coat. In the letter, she said, "The refuge saved my life. The support I received and the 12-week programme I did with your group changed my life. It helped me understand how I'd been trapped for so many years and gave me confidence to live the life I have now. Thank you so much. From N." The last 20 years has been a journey, and as Bishop Desmond Tutu said, we now need to go upstream to stop people falling into the river. As well as dealing with crisis, we need to change the system. Delivering university courses to people who can bring about that change, such as the police, court services, graduates, health and frontline staff, will open the door on domestic abuse and shine light on the way forward. Thank you for being part of that journey.